Ladies and gentlemen, the opening ceremony will start in 5 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to start
皆
the
さん、
opening ceremony.
オープニングセレモニー開会式を時期始めますので
Please use the headset provided for translation. Japanese is on channel 1 and English is on channel 2. Lastly, we ask that you please put your phones on silent and enjoy our opening ceremony.
Those Chinese characters represent tradition, resilience, and innovation. From left to the right, tradition, resilience, and innovation. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Himeji.
Dear members of the Understanding Risk community, welcome. It's wonderful to see you all here in Himeji. My name is Yoko Kobayashi. I'm Senior External Affairs Officer for Global Facility for Disaster Reduction and Recovery, or GFDRR. We are the Disaster Risk Management Unit of the World Bank, dedicated to helping low and middle-income countries build resilience to climate change and natural hazards. I'll be guiding you through a part of the ceremony today. I would like to start by thanking the Himeji Shodo kids for this wonderful piece of art, for their amazing calligraphy performance. These talented young artists are keeping the tradition of calligraphy alive and promoting youth development through art and culture. Thanks again for your inspiring performance. As many of you know, Understanding Risk is a global community of experts and practitioners in disaster risk management. With over 20,000 members from all around the world, we gather every 2 years to share knowledge and experience. Today, we are thrilled to be in Himeji for the 8th edition of the Global Forum. We want to thank the city of Himeji for hosting this event, the Hyogo Prefecture for their invaluable support and contributions to the activities in Kobe, Himeji, Tajima, Kiraharima, and Awaji, and the government of Japan for its ongoing commitment to promoting disaster risk management. In light of this support, we are honored to have with us today distinguished guests. Mrs. Takako Matsumoto, wife of the Minister for International Affairs and Communications, the Honorable Takeaki Matsumoto, who is also serving as the chair of the Japan chapter of the Parliamentary Network on the World Bank, the Honorable Mitsuo Takahashi, Parliamentary Vice Minister for Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries, and a member of the Upper House of Japan, the Honorable Motohiko Saito, Governor of Prefecture of Hyogo, the Honorable Tomoaki Hamada, Chair of the Prefectural Council, the Honorable Hideyasu Kiyomoto, Mayor of the City of Himeji, the Honorable Kazuya Miyashita, the Chair of the City Council of Himeji, and Mr. Atsushi Mimura, Director General of the International Bureau at the Ministry of Finance, Japan. We will begin the ceremony with remarks from Mr. Guang Chen, the Vice President for Infrastructure at the World Bank. Mr. Chen, please come to the stage.
Honorable Minister Matsumoto, Governor of Hyoko Prefecture, Mr. Sato, Mayor of Himeji City, Mr. Kiyomoto, and Director General of Japan Ministry of Finance, Mr. Mimura, and distinguished guests, colleagues, partners from around the world, and also people from Himeji City and also Hyoko Prefecture. It is with great honor and profound enthusiasm I welcome you to the Understanding Risk 2024. This is a global forum in the historical city of Himeji, Japan. As we gather here amid the iconic backdrop of the Himeji Castle, this is a symbol of tradition, innovation, resilience. Those are the three characters that were spoken by our student choreographer just a moment ago. We really embark on an evolutionary trajectory towards pioneer solution for multifaceted challenges confronting our world today. Before we delve into the rich discussion awaiting us, I want to take a moment to express our deepest condolence to the life lost and community affected by the tragic earthquake that struck the Nato Peninsula on the New Year's Day this year. Our hearts go to the victims, their families, and all those impacted by the devastating event. But this event is also a backdrop against the event we have here today. None of us are strangers to disaster, and we remember many others impacted by calamity this year, such as the earthquakes in Taiwan, flooding in Brazil and other parts of Southern America, including Bolivia and Ecuador, wildfire in Guatemala, and severe flooding in part of East Africa, like Kenya, and also flooding in Democratic Republic of Congo, the cyclone in Madagascar, and also, in fact, even last week, severe flooding in Florida, America. As we convene to address this global risk, let's keep in mind the urgent need for support and uplift those impacted by all these calamities. This forum, the UR 2024, stands as a testament to the enduring commitment of the World Bank and its partner, including the Global Facility for Disaster Reduction and Recovery, the GFDR, to drive disruptive innovation in disaster and climate risk management. Furthermore, UR has promoted partnership and brought regional, international, and national agencies together to think about how we make a more resilient world. Over the past decades, our collective effort, anchored by the Understanding Risk Conference initiative, this initiative has fostered a global knowledge partnership unlike many others. Born out of the World Bank's GFDR, the community now comprises of over 20 practitioners, experts from more than 200 countries and territories in about 5,000 organizations. And they serve as a beacon for collaboration, innovation, and shared learning in the field of disaster risk management. Today, we have many countries and organizations represented here in this beautiful city of Himeji, and making it the World Bank as the world's capital of resilience for this week. The overarching theme of UR 2024, again, traditions, innovation, and resilience, pays homage to Japan's rich experience in resilience building and its ongoing effort to address the challenge posed by natural disaster and climate change. As we convene in Himeji, we are also reminded of the transformative journey of the Hyoko Framework for Action in 2005 to the Sendai Framework in 2015, reflecting our collective commitment to advancing the disaster risk management at a global scale. Against the backdrop of escalating crises driven by climate change and natural disaster, the role of the World Bank as a development institution and knowledge bank has never been more vital. Our vision enhancement of the crisis preparedness and responsive toolkit, built on the foundational support by GFDR, underscore our steadfast dedication to supporting nations in bolstering their preparedness and responsive capacities. Moreover, UR 2024 will hold a particular significance as it preceded the 30 years anniversary of the Greater Hanshin Awaji earthquake, which has happened 29 years ago. And this is a significant reminder of the progress we make in the adoption of Hiyoko framework for action. As we reflect on Japan's enduring resilience in the face of adversity, we are reminded of the importance of global collaboration and solidarities in addressing these natural disasters. As the Vice President for Infrastructure at the World Bank, I cannot stress enough of the resilient infrastructure as a principle in all the works we do in the infrastructure building and all of the sustainabilities. Therefore, as we engage in the discussion and collaboration throughout these forums, let us also reaffirm our commitment to investing in resilient infrastructure as a cornerstone of disaster risk management and adaptation to climate change. I extend my deepest gratitude to our hosts, partners, and participants for their unwavering commitment to this noble cause. Together, we have the opportunity to catalyze transformative change as we manage disaster throughout the world. Also, throughout the deliberation in the coming days, let us also remain steadfast in our resolve to harness the power of innovation, strengthen our global partnership, and empower community through inclusive risk management in the global scales. So let's take this opportunity to connect with each other, take this agenda globally, and deepen our understanding of the way to manage disaster and also build our resilience throughout the world. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chen. Up next, it is my pleasure to introduce a video message from the Honorable Takeaki Matsumoto, Minister for International Affairs and Communications, who is also the chair of the Japan chapter of the Parliamentary Network on the World Bank.
皆様、こんにちは。世界銀行防災グローバルフォーラムの兵庫県姫路市における開催、おいでいただいた皆様を地元として心から歓迎申し上げます。また、世界銀行国会議員連盟会長としても大変嬉しく思うとともに感謝申し上げます。世界銀行グループ、本部、東京事務所はじめ、関係の皆様のご尽力に厚く御礼申し上げます。我が国は第二次世界大戦からの復興にあたって世界銀行の大きな力をいただいてまいりました。私の父は60年ほど前に大蔵省の職員として世界銀行からの借り入れに携わっておりました。姫路、播磨、兵庫県にあっても道路等のインフラや産業基盤に支援を受けております。おかげさまで我が国は大きく発展をすることができ、支援いただく側から支援を支える立場にまで成長することができました。世界に助けられた日本だからこそ、世界銀行とともに世界に貢献する使命を担ってまいります。私もそのような思いで国際協力を大切な課題として、自民党国際協力調査会長、世界銀行国会議員連盟会長を務め、時代に合わせた開発協力大綱改定や世界銀行と連携した取り組みを進めてきました。我が国は阪神・淡路大震災、東日本大震災や豪雨による水害など災害の多い国と言わざるを得ません。被害を軽減できるように洪水対策、耐震化促進など防災対策を進めてきました。 また、経験を生かして発災したら、国の全力を挙げて救命救急に当たる仕組みを創設したり、現場に駆けつける医療チームを編成したり、災害対応を強化してきて、本年の能登半島地震でも活躍してくれました。災害には常に新たな課題があります。それだけに備えに関する教訓や情報の共有が防災・災害対応力を高めることにおいて大切だと考えております。この度の防災グローバルフォーラムによって我が国はじめ世界の知見が広く共有され、世界の人々にとっての防災・災害対応力強化につながることを期待しております。本フォーラムの成功によって生活しやすい地球上で貧困のない世界を作る世界銀行の夢が実現に近づくことを記念してご挨拶といたします。日本国総務大臣衆議院議員松本剛明。
Thank you very much, Mr. Matsumoto. Minister Matsumoto, I'm sorry. I would now like to welcome the Governor Saito of Hyogo Prefecture to the stage.
I would like to welcome the World Bank to host the Understanding Risk 2024 Global Forum in Himeji City, the first such forum to be held not only in Japan but also in Asia. On this opening, Vice President Guanchen and other related parties, and also Yoneyama-san and other related parties from Japan, you have made a lot of efforts to organize this event. Thank you very much. I believe it is very significant that many people from Japan and abroad gather to discuss the theme of these three: tradition, innovation, and resilience at this time before January 2025, which will mark the 30th anniversary of the Great Hanshin Awaji earthquake. In the recovery and reconstruction from the Great Hanshin Awaji earthquake of 1995, Himeji Prefecture has been working on creative reconstruction in collaboration with its citizens. The model of creative reconstruction, which was born in the aftermath of the Kobe earthquake in 1995, aiming at building a better society than pre-disaster, has been carried over to and reutilized in the reconstruction from the Great East Japan earthquake and other disasters, and was included in the UN Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction in 2015 as Build Back Better, and it is being utilized today for disaster recovery in Japan and abroad. Tomorrow, I would like to explain this creative reconstruction that our prefecture has undertaken in the keynote speech at the plenary session at the beginning of the forum tomorrow morning. In particular, this prefecture has made progress in building disaster-resistant communities by strengthening the initial response system and the local disaster preparedness, aiming to become the advanced disaster prevention prefecture Hyogo. In addition, in order to repay the warm support we received from all over the world after the earthquake, as well as to pass on the experiences and lessons learned from the disaster, we have provided assistance to areas affected by large-scale disasters overseas, including the earthquake in Turkey last February and Ukraine in wartime. The keynote speech will introduce these efforts, which will be used as a reference for strengthening disaster preparedness in each country as natural disasters become more severe and more frequent around the world. Next year, From April to October 2025, the Expo 2025 Osaka Kansai will be held here in this Kansai region, attracting many people from Japan and abroad to visit the Kansai region and drawing the attention of the world. In preparation for the Expo, the Hyogo Prefecture is developing the Hyogo Field Pavilion, in which local residents will take the initiative in showcasing the fields of activities that embody the SDGs, so that many people can come, see, learn, and experience them. As part of this project and its efforts, and by combining tours and DRR learning experiences at DRR-related facilities with field pavilions projects and others in the prefecture, we are promoting DRR tourism, which is expected to have a synergistic effect of studying DRR while having fun and raising DRR awareness while enjoying local attractions. This global forum, which will be attended by participants from all over the world, is an excellent opportunity for participants to experience the DRR tourism that the prefecture is promoting. We have prepared 4 study tours in Kobe, Hanshin, Awaji, Kitaharima, and Tajima, and I have heard that we are receiving many applications already. We are also preparing a program for visitors to experience here at the Himeji tomorrow. If you have time, we would like you to experience it as well. We also consider the Expo 2025 Osaka Kansai, which opens next April, to be an important opportunity to disseminate our prefecture's concept of creative reconstruction. And for this reason, we will hold the Hyogo Expo Week in September 2025 during the Expo period under the theme of creative reconstruction from disasters, and hold a symposia and other events intensively. Among other things, we will hold a creative reconstruction summit where leaders and others from disaster-affected municipalities in Japan and abroad will gather to exchange opinions on the creative reconstruction and disseminate the results of the summit to the world. We would like to use this knowledge gained from these discussions at the UR 2024 as a legacy for the discussions at next year's summit on creative reconstruction. Finally, I would like to thank the World Bank, Himeji City, and other related organizations for their efforts in organizing this forum. From the bottom of my heart, I would like to conclude my remarks by wishing this forum a fruitful and successful event, and the best luck to all those gathered here. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Governor Saito. Up next, I would like to invite Mr. Mimura, the Director General of the International Bureau at the Ministry of Finance.
Honorable Minister of International Affairs and Communications, Mr. Matsumoto, Honorable Governor of Hyogo Prefecture, Mr. Saito, Honorable Mayor of Himeji City, Mr. Kiyomoto, Vice President of the World Bank, Mr. Chen, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to address you today on behalf of Japan's Minister of Finance at the opening ceremony of this Understanding Risk Global Forum 2024. First and foremost, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the World Bank Tokyo Disaster Risk Management Hub under the Global Facility for Disaster Reduction and Recovery for their tireless efforts in making this forum possible. I would also like to extend a warm welcome and sincere thanks to all the participants from various countries across the globe. Moreover, I would like to convey our deepest appreciation for the city of Himeji, Hyogo Prefecture, and their residents, our gracious hosts for this forum. As disasters triggered by natural hazards are increasingly threatening both developed and developing economies. It is imperative that we strengthen our disaster risk reduction measures and work together to build more sustainable and resilient economies, societies. In 2023 alone, natural disasters affected 93 million people globally, resulting in $203 billion in economic losses. The impacts have been severe, especially in vulnerable regions. While climate-related disasters demand urgent attention, addressing non-climate-related disasters like earthquakes and tsunami are equally important. Japan has frequently experienced natural disasters, such as earthquakes, tsunami, and typhoons. Most recently, the Noto Peninsula earthquake occurred on January 1st of this year. Having this conference here in Himeji is no coincidence. The Great Hanshin Awaji earthquake in 1995, which struck Hyogo Prefecture, resulted in the tragic loss of 6,434 lives. These disasters are stark reminders of our vulnerabilities. However, these tragedies also highlighted our resilience and ability for build back better. In response to the Great Hanshin Awaji earthquake, Japan has revised its basic disaster management plan to be more concrete and practical, and invested heavily in improving building codes and urban planning. Strict building regulations now mandate the use of earthquake-resistant materials and construction techniques. Comprehensive disaster drills and early warning system have been established to ensure rapid and effective responses for future disasters. We believe it is our responsibility to share these lessons and collaborate with the international community to advance disaster risk reduction and mitigation efforts. Throughout the Japan World Bank program for mainstreaming disaster risk management in developing countries, Japan has been working closely with the World Bank to enhance disaster risk management capacities in developing economies. Moreover, Japan, with the World Bank support, has led Southeast Asia Disaster Risk Insurance Facility, or CDRIF, which aims to strengthen the financial resilience against climate and disaster shocks in ASEAN region. Japan will continue to provide support to enhance resilience against natural disasters through these programs. This forum provides a vital opportunity for governments, international organizations, the private sector, and academia from across the world to come together to share knowledge, technologies, and policies on disaster risk reduction. We anticipate vibrant discussions on new approaches to address imminent challenges, particularly through the use of advanced technologies, data, and innovative financing methods. Last but not least, the Japanese Minister of Finance remains fully committed to promoting international cooperation and supporting the enhancement of disaster risk management capacities in other economies. Together, let us find pathways to reduce future disaster risks and achieve sustainable development with tradition, innovation, and resilience. Thank you for your attention. ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much, Mr. Mimura. Up next, it is my pleasure to present a video address from the Honorable Hiroshi Hase, Governor of Ishikawa Prefecture.
はい、皆さんこんにちは。石川県知事の長谷博と申します。今回こういう機会をいただいて本当にありがとうございます。世界銀行の防災グローバルフォーラム UR2024 ということだそうでありまして、改めてですね、我々防災にどういうふうな姿勢で臨んでいくかということが世界的な規模で問われていると思います。今年の元日、石川県能登半島が震源地でありまして、震度7の地震に直撃をされました。犠牲者の方が今260名、家屋の倒壊等がですね、8万棟を超えております。大変厳しい環境の中で、今、石川県は復旧と復興に取り組んでおります。そのテーマはですね、創造的復興であります。能登半島のこの地域の伝統を守りながらも、革新的な技術を持ってですね、将来を目指していこうと。こういう観点でですね、創造的復興、能登の素晴らしさを守りながら、自然や豊かな文化を守りながら、新たなレジリエンスを目指していこうと。おそらくこれは皆さん方のフォーラムに共通の観点ではないかというふうに思っています。改めてこれまでの皆様のご支援に心から感謝を申し上げたいと思いますし、引き続き息の長い、バックアップをお願いしたいと思っています。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
Thank you, Governor Hase. Next, we have an inspiring message from high school students from Miyagi, Okayama, and Hyogo prefectures. Over the past weekend, they voluntarily gathered to discuss and commit to disaster resilience. These passionate young individuals are dedicated to creating a safer future. And today, they will present a disaster risk management declaration to our global community. Please join me in welcoming the students from Ishinomaki Nishi High School, Soja High School, Himeji Commercial High School, and Maiko High School to the stage.
We are Maiko High School, Himeji Commercial High School, Soja High School, and Ishinomaki Nishi High School participating in the High School Disaster Prevention Summit. We will make 5 declarations.
This year marks 29 years since the Great Hanshin Aoji earthquake. However, many people are not interested in that disaster, and the number of people who can talk about their experiences is decreasing. So it is very important to pass on the experiences of the earthquake to future generations. Hearing stories from people who were the same age as us at the time to make experiences more compelling allows to make the experiences our own.
In the transition lines in Western Japan in 2018, one student at Soja High School was the catalyst that brought together 1,000 volunteers using Twitter. Taking a cue from that initiative, we too would like to use the internet to disseminate our disaster prevention efforts. We also thought it was important to learn about disaster prevention by actually visiting disaster-stricken areas, seeing and experiencing them with our own eyes.
I don't think that disaster prevention can be learned in a fun way if it is all classroom learning and training. So I think it is better to learn through physical exercise and in the form of games. For example, there is a game called Catfish School. in which participants check behavior during a disaster.
We will provide quality disaster prevention education from the perspective of the SDGs in order to reduce the number of people who fail to escape or suffer damage when disaster strikes. Since few people learn about disaster prevention professionally, we thought that learning about disaster prevention on a regular basis will make people feel closer to disaster prevention, and we will create a town where people can continue to live. We will promote a safe and secure city by making houses stronger and more earthquake resistant so that people can continue to live in them there even after a disaster.
By participating in local festivals and evacuation drills, you can get to know people in town and see things from the perspective of various generations.
Based on the above, we will realize 5 declarations to create a society where no one will be left behind.
I would now like to invite World Bank Vice President Mr. Guang Chen up on the stage again to receive the Disaster Risk Management Declaration. Thank you to the students and Mr. Chen. Japan has faced numerous disasters and has gained invaluable lessons from each experience. Over the decades, it has cultivated a culture of preparedness and resilience. A prime example of this tradition, innovation, and resilience is our special keynote speaker. He is a Japanese architect whose work is recognized internationally, and his commitment to humanitarian designs and activist work is equally distinguished. He's the founder of the Voluntary Architects Network, an organization devoted to providing assistance in disaster-hit areas through architecture and provision of temporary structures. He has pioneered initiatives aimed at improving the livelihoods of individuals impacted by disasters both in Japan and across the globe. He has been awarded multiple international honors, including the Pritzker Architecture Prize, the Mother Teresa Memorial Award for Social Justice, and the Princess of Asturias Award for Concord. Please join me in welcoming our very special keynote speaker, Mr. Shigeru Ban.
Good afternoon. It's really my pleasure to be here to present my activities all over the world. I'm a practicing architect, but also I organized a voluntary team to build temporary housing and temporary shelters all over the world. Let me start my slides. 1985, I started developing structure out of recycled paper tube. Before people start talking about ecology, recycling, sustainability, so on, can we start slide? So this is an exhibition I organized in 1986 for the Finnish architect Alberto. I didn't want to use the wood because for temporary use, I didn't want to waste such a precious material after that exhibition is over. So this is a paper made of recycled paper, which was all over my studio after we finished fax roll, tracing papers, always paper should remain. I kept them to use for something else, and I used for the ceiling and the partitions. Then I started testing the material to be used for the building structure. Next, please. Then I designed my own weekend house in order to get the government permission to use such an unusual material for building structure. This was built in 1990. This is the first permanent building out of recycled paper with government permission. It still exists, but I have no weekend working all over the world, so that the house is still empty. Next, please. Year 2000, already people start talking about the environment. This is the World Expo in Hanover, in Germany. The main theme of Expo was environmental issue, so that I was chosen to build Japanese pavilion. This is made of locally available paper tube. The part of the contract we made with this local company, they have to collect all the paper tube after building demolished in order to recycle again. Even I didn't want to use a concrete foundation. This building has no concrete foundation. We made a wooden box filled with sand instead of concrete. Even membrane. Normally we use the PVC membrane, but PVC is not environmentally friendly. So I made a paper membrane, waterproof, fire protected. We covered over 2,500 square meter paper tube structure. This is the biggest structure made in recycled paper tube. Next, please. 1994, east side of Africa in Rwanda, as you may remember, there was genocide. Over 2 million people became refugees. And this is refugee shelters organized by United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. And I was very surprised to see the people freezing with a blanket. And I found out during the rainy season, they couldn't keep them warm enough with this kind of poor plastic sheet shelters. So I wrote a letter to United Nations to improve this shelter condition, but I got no reply. So I had to go to Geneva headquarters of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees without any appointment. And I was very lucky to meet a German architect who was responsible for shelter construction. And that time, I was hired as a consultant because of the following reason. Originally, they have to, this is a typical refugee shelter, and the refugees have to cut the trees by themselves to make a frame, and they put the plastic sheet given by United Nations. However, over 2 million people cut the trees. This area used to be the forest, but all the trees gone, and they go much further to cut more trees. So this became very serious deforestation and the environmental problem. So that the United Nations started providing them aluminum pipes. But aluminum was very expensive material locally, so that the refugees sold them out for money to cut trees again. So this was not a good solution. So that was the timing I proposed my idea to make a shelter out of recycled paper. Next, please. So this is 3 prototypes I built in Switzerland. And also I wanted to make something more comfortable. However, because of the United Nations policy, we are not supposed to give them something too comfortable, because if that is too comfortable, they're going to stay there longer. So that I got only $50 per unit in order to stop deforestation. So this is a paper tube shelter, just it costs only $50. Next, please. Year after, 1995, in city of Kobe, Japan, we have big earthquake. Over 8,000 people were killed. And also some of the area was totally burned, fired after the earthquake. I knew there was many Vietnamese refugees gathering at the Catholic Church. And I thought that they are having more difficult time than normal Japanese victims. So I went there to look for them. And finally, I found the Catholic Church. All the building was gone by the destroyed by earthquake and the fire after the earthquake. And they are having morning service around the fire. And I proposed to the priest after the morning service, why don't we rebuild the temporary church out of paper tube structure? He thought I'm crazy, proposing making building out of paper after the fire, but I didn't want to give up. Next, please. Every Sunday, I took a first train to Kobe, and I got to know the Vietnamese people. They are living in the park with plastic sheet, like this kind of condition. In fine days, inside of the house that shelter become over 40 degrees. In rainy days, all the floor get wet. And although that the government started making temporary housing, but Kobe is very congested, so that most of the houses, all of the houses was built outside of the city. But these Vietnamese people has only job in particular area and particular factory. If they move out from the city, they're gonna lose their job. So that they want to keep living here, even such a condition. However, Japanese neighbor people try to kick them out because they are afraid this park is becoming like a slum. But they have no place to go. So that I got my student to build temporary houses with paper tube and only 10 centimeter diameter. Wall thickness is only 4 millimeter. And we are not supposed to use any permanent material concrete. So we made a foundation out of beer crates. That time, the 2 major Japanese beer company, Kirin and Asahi, was competing because Asahi make plastic beer crate red, which doesn't go with the color of the paper. So I asked Kirin to donate, and we are very disappointed. They donated, we thought that they donated beer inside the beer crate, but it is totally empty. We work with engineer to put a sandbag in order to prevent for the strong wind. This is inside, people are living there for 4 years. Next, please. Then please trusted me to make a temporary house, temporary church. So this is only 10 meter by 15 meter. Everything is made with paper tube made by a student. This was the first morning service under the roof. And he thought that we can use only for a few years, but it was there for 10 years. Because this became symbol of the reconstruction of the Kobe, and having not only religious service, but many public services, wedding, concert, movie, and so on. So this was 10 years that they decided to redesign something bigger. I was very lucky to design, but also there was big earthquake in Taiwan. Next, please. And we disassembled them, send over to Taiwan, assemble again with volunteer people. And this became permanent church and community center in Taiwan. And then I wonder, what is the definition of the temporary structure? What is the definition of the permanent structure? As you can recognize in many big cities, there is many building in concrete made by developer, but the other developer buy the land, destroy the existing building to put new one. So even the building in concrete, if building was made to make money, they are very temporary. But even building made in paper with student, if people love it, this can be permanent. This still exists in Taiwan. So this became permanent structure. Next, please. 1999 in Turkey, they had big earthquake. I was asked to make temporary houses. Everything is locally available, even paper tube and bear crate were totally donated free of charge with local manufacturer. And this is my favorite church. Children help us to put the waste paper inside of the paper tube to make wall more insulated. And this is how we built with local students. Next, please. Year 2001, west side of India, there was a big earthquake. I was there again to make a temporary housing. Everything available except the beer crates because nobody drink beer in this area. My local Indian architects proposed me to use a red Coca-Cola crate, but I thought that is out of context. So we made a traditional mud floor and foundation. Some of them are used as a house, some of them are used as a school. This is a photo I received last year from my local architect. This is still there, used as a local clinic. Next, please. 2008, 2 months before Beijing Olympic, they had a big earthquake, over 80,000 people killed in Sichuan district city called Chengdu. And I started preparing temporary housing, but local government didn't want any foreigner to make temporary houses. But instead, I was asked by the local elementary school master to make the temporary classrooms. So I brought my Japanese student, working with local Chinese student for 5 weeks, using locally available paper tube. We made udon joint, and everything was done by student. We made 9 classrooms over 500 square meters. Next, please. This is the result, and students look so happy, and this school also exists in Chengdu. Next, please. 2009, L'Aquila in Rome, near Rome, and the old city, L'Aquila, was totally destroyed by earthquake. And do you remember him? Former Prime Minister of Italy, Mr. Berlusconi. He decided to bring the G8 summit to L'Aquila. That time, Russia was part of the G8, so that it's not G7. And immediately after the earthquake, I went to there and met the mayor. He asked me to design temporary concert hall, music hall, because L'Aquila is very famous for music. They have their own Philharmonic Orchestra and school of music, but there are no place to play. So, and then I got a phone call from the ambassador of Japan in Rome, and he want to help for fundraising. So this is the fundraising conference organized with Mr. Berlusconi, with former Japanese Mr. Aso. And I'm sure Mr. Berlusconi doesn't know what he's holding. He's holding paper tube. And because of this successful conference, I got €500,000 to build, next please, temporary concert hall. Again, I didn't want to use a concrete, but it has to be very well acoustically insulated. So this is very thick wall with the scaffolding and the sandbag to make very, very acoustically insulated wall. Just because so ugly, it's just covered with red curtain. And the inside is paper tube with different diameter for the acoustical reasons. Exterior paper tube is part of a structure. This is opening concert. This also still exists in L'Aquila. Next, please. Year after, 2010, Haiti, in the small island in Caribbean Ocean. Left half is Haiti, right half is the Dominican Republic. Because all the airport was closed in Port-au-Prince of Haiti, I had to fly over Santo Domingo, capital of the Dominican Republic, drove up 7 hours finding out the situation like this. And I couldn't find any material, and so that I made a team with a student in Santo Domingo and prepared the paper tube shelter to brought over to train local people to build by themselves. Next, please. Year after, north of Japan, the so-called Fukushima, earthquake and tsunami nuclear problem. And sorry, this is one before. This is 2004 in Niigata. When I saw that the evacuation facility in Kobe, I knew there's no privacy between family in evacuation facilities. And I thought the privacy is very important. So 2004, in Niigata, I started making the kind of the shelter to give the privacy to each family. But the local authority who organized the evacuation facilities, they said that there's no example, and it's easier to control people without any shelter. So only few were accepted as a kind of changing room, but it was not accepted. But I did not give up. Next, please. So this is a photo of 2011 and Fukushima and the Tohoku area. Again, people stay there without any privacy. So this school was organized by physics teacher because all the mayor and the city official was killed by the tsunami. And he was so happy to make the 500 family unit with us in 1 week. So this is just small paper. Actually, you can visit the same partition was used for exhibition outside of this hall. Small diameter just inserted, hanging the fabric with a safety pin. And we visited 80 facilities, and the first 30, they rejected it. Finally, we made 2,000 units in 3 months. And this photo taken 2020 after pandemic. Because of the pandemic, the doctor told us that having this partition is very good to spreading COVID viruses. So that finally, after I spent 15 years, the Japanese government accepted this as a standard partition system for the evacuation facilities. Next, please. So after they spend 4 months, they can move to the temporary houses made by government. This is one. This is a typical one. Because of privacy, they cannot open the window. Inside is like this. And leaking, and also many areas in Tohoku was fluidized. The land was totally destroyed, and they didn't have. I expected some area doesn't have enough flat area to build government standard single-story housing. So immediately after, I designed the 3-story temporary house out of shipping container, stacked on top of each other as a checkerboard pattern. And next, please. And the city called Onagawa, they have only one baseball ground for 190 units, which was not enough for single story, so they accepted it. And the non-concrete foundation, just steel plate, stacking the container as a checkerboard pattern. Inside is like this. And the size of the house is exactly government standard. Also, the building cost is also exactly the same as the government standard. Still, it's very comfortable, but I created a new problem because normally they can stay there only for 4 years, but nobody wants to move out. So that they have to keep for 8 years because they were really feel comfortable staying here. Next, please. Few weeks before the earthquake in Japan, there is a big earthquake in Christchurch in New Zealand. And this is the most important cathedral in Christchurch. It was totally destroyed. And also the 28 Japanese students were killed after this earthquake. And I got the email from the priest. He said, you must be the architect who can design temporary church without any fee. I said, if the temporary church is not used, not only the religious service, but the public services, I'm happy to do it. So I'm very busy commuting the Tohoku area, but also I commuted to New Zealand. And the first thing I did is analyzing the geometry of this cathedral, finding out many rules, even including golden sections. So I used this same rule to design a new temporary new cathedral. Next, please. This is the result. This is locally available paper tube in New Zealand. The ground floor is made of shipping container. So this was meant to be temporary, but this became very famous tourist destination, so that they decided to keep it. And even the cross, this is the only thing that I had to fight with the bishop. She's here. She really loves the space, but she thought making the cross out of paper was very cheap. But I told her that in Japanese, by chance, that we call kami for the paper, which by chance it also means God. So I told her that making the cloth out of paper is very lucky, and she accepted. Now she's really loves with this cloth out of paper. Thank you. Next, please. 2014, in Cebu Island in Philippines, they had a big earthquake and also typhoon. We went to there with students to build temporary housing. We used the locally available woven bamboo. And in Philippines, there is a big beer company called San Miguel, but they didn't want to donate their plastic beer crates. So finally, I had to use the red Coca-Cola crates. Next, please. Next, please. 2015, Nepal, they had a big earthquake. I went to there, and most of the building built was with brick, which is not really good for earthquake. But I didn't want to waste this brick as rubbish. So that I proposed the temporary, not temporary, permanent houses using this brick, but it has to meet Japanese earthquake standard. So this is a testing piece I did in Japan with a wooden frame filled with the brick to meet the Japanese earthquake regulation. So this is the houses we built with the locally available rubbish brick filled in the frame of the wood. And also some area in higher in altitude in mountain. We also made a no, it's not temporary, it's a permanent elementary school. Because brick was not available, we just put the stone inside of the frame. It's also a permanent elementary school. Next, please. This is the temporary house out of paper tube structure in 4 different locations last year. First one, this was in Turkey, in Antakya, near Syrian border. In March, they had an earthquake, so we went to there, and I made this temporary house with the student from Ankara. And this is in Marrakesh, Morocco, and the same house with the local, made with local student. And this is also temporary house built in Hawaii. August last year, they had a big fire. There was a Japanese temple. They asked me to make a temporary houses. Now we are under design of a temporary temple out of paper tube structure. This house was also same structure, built May last year in Suzu City, which is the most north location of the Noto Peninsula. They had an earthquake, and this is the same house we built with students. But this photo was taken January 1st this year. You may know we had a much bigger earthquake in Noto Peninsula, and this house was okay in May last year, but destroyed by the latest news earthquake in January. Raining on our house has no problem. So this is we prove that how strong our house is. Next, please. As you know, that the February 24th, 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine, and this is the situation of Ukrainian refugees. Over 3 million refugees were in Poland and staying in gymnasium, just like the situation after the earthquake. There are no privacy between families. So I collaborate with my friend, no, actually not only friend, I'm part of the member of a new European Bauhaus, created by President of the EU, Mrs. van der Leyen, and we collaborate with the member in Poland and Slovakia to make a shelter, paper tube partitions, locally available paper tube. This is my voluntary architects network, NGO, and building in Poland, Ukraine, Slovakia, Berlin, in Paris, like this. Next, please. Then, as you remember, Russia attacked the power station, so that I sent the firewood stove from Japan in Hokkaido, north of Japan. I found out there's very good stove, very lightweight, he can hold it, and also even they can cook with firewood. And he looks very happy receiving the fire stove, but he's injured and his house was totally destroyed by bombing. This is the first meeting with the mayor of the city of Lviv, Mr. Sadobi, west side of Ukraine. I start preparing affordable housing system with Polish students. And this is the first meeting last year in February. Next, please. So this is what we did with a Polish student. And this is a new system called styrofoam housing system. This is styrofoam foam core, normally used for the packing inside of the cardboard, or is used for the even insulation. It's very lightweight, and we just paint with glass fiber reinforced plastic, and it's a modular system. It's very lightweight. And this is not my invention. This is traditional technology to waterproof the roof, even making the middle-sized boat or even surfboard made with same technology. And just I apply this technology to make a modular housing system. We don't need any machine. And all the modular system was prepared in Poland. And we just brought over to Ukrainian review to build in one day with just students. So this is a system we try to use for the reconstruction. Because after the disaster, either man-made or the natural disaster, always contractor become very busy, and the normal building material become very expensive. So I'm trying to make the affordable housing without contractor, without using normal building materials. Next, please. This is also a project in review. This is Mayor Mr. Sadobi. He asked me to design the hospital 25,000 square meter. Because the Lviv is a city, it's the west side of Ukraine, it's rather safe. That's why there's many internal displaced people and also many injured people from the war. So that the city hospital is totally over capacity. That's why they like to make a new hospital. But also it's interesting that in Ukraine, they have biggest CLT stands for cross-laminated timber factory biggest in East Europe. They used to export to Canada, US, but now they cannot. So that he asked me to design the hospital out of this CLT locally available. But according to Ukrainian building regulations, they cannot make such a size of the building in timber. It's just like Japan. We have very strict building regulation for wood. However, if we apply building regulation of EU, we can make such a hospital in timber. As you know that the Ukraine want to be part of the EU, so that Mr. Sadobi decided to make this hospital out of CLT timber. So this is becoming first building in Ukraine built with the EU building regulation in locally available timber. So it has very many meanings. So now we are under design. This is my sketch. Try to make out of the, without using metal connections, using some locally, this is kind of the idea I got from the Ukrainian traditional building, traditional houses. So this is a hospital. Only the four corner is concrete in the stair, emergency stair, and elevator. Otherwise, everything is made of timber. Construction will start next spring. Next, please. This is the last project in Noto Peninsula again. This is the same paper log house. We proved this was very strong for the earthquake. Now, in Noto area, in Wajima lacquer craftsman and Suzu pottery craftsman, they have no place to work. So we are building the temporary, but this can be permanent, the studio for those artists. This lady, she's not an artist, but she was living in the greenhouse for a few months. But it was so cold in that area, so that we got donation to make the house for her. So now she just got out from the greenhouse. Next, please. This is the last slide. This is also another project we are doing with the student. The Noto area is really beautiful with the timber structure and the Noto roof tiles, but they are destroyed. And normally they are destroyed by machine and become the rubbish. But there are no manufacturer anymore to continue building, making the tiles. So now with students, we are collecting them to reuse, to bring back to the original landscape and the original traditional houses by collecting, before that they're destroyed by machine, we are now collecting this to the use, so to not to make rubbishes. So we need continuous support from you in Noto Printure that I like to continue building temporary houses or temporary structure to be, sorry, this is the last project, I forgot. This is the temporary house I'm building in Noto. But this can be permanent. This is a permanent structure with locally available timber. Again, stacking on top of each other, stacking a checkerboard pattern. So this is the first temporary house to be used permanently in Noto Island, and we keep building them. This is much more comfortable to be used as a permanent structure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bon. Our final speaker of the evening is our gracious host from the city of Himeji. It is my honor to introduce Mayor Kiyomoto of Himeji.
Welcome everyone to Himeji. On behalf of the people of the city of Himeji, I would like to extend my very warm welcome to all of you and express my heartfelt joy in opening Understanding this Global Forum 2024, UR 2024, here in Himeji. Let me begin by expressing my deepest condolence for all who perished in the 2024 following earthquake in Taiwan and the 2024 Noto Peninsula earthquake in Ishikawa Prefecture, Japan. And my wishes for full and rapid recovery for all who suffered injury or loss in those disasters. UR 2024 brings together representatives of governments and NGOs and corporations, as well as specialists involved in disaster risk management around the world. I appreciate the profound significance of this conference, and their discussions will be held here to deepen understanding of the risk of natural disasters and grapple with issues related to reduce that risk. The main venue for UR 2024 here at Kurie Himeji is a large-scale multifunctional facility that opened in September 2021 to serve as a hub for promotion of culture, the arts, and MICE in Himeji. We in Himeji are deeply honored that this complex was selected as the venue of host UR 2024. The English word life has three meanings: lives, way of living, and lifetimes. Himeji advances a policy of protecting and supporting the lives, way of living, and longevity of people of Himeji, as well as stimulating the variety of the community. Next year, 2025, Himeji commemorated the 30th anniversary of Great Hanshin Awaji earthquake. At that same time, the more recent Noto Peninsula earthquake reminds us once again of the importance of preventing for and mitigating the effect of disaster, a vital theme for protecting people's lives, way of living, and longevity. I expect that through the lively and crisis discussion of the importance of disaster risk management and crisis management across regional and national borders. UR 2024 will light the way to making individuals and society resilient in the face of disaster, natural and otherwise. In closing, I pray that this conference will bear fruit in ways that are meaningful for all attendants, and I wish you wonderful stay in Himeji, and thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you very
Mayor
much.
Kiyomoto. Very kind words. And we are really, really thankful for you and the city of Himeji for hosting Understanding Risk Global Forum this year. My name is Joaquin Toro. I'm one of the organizers of Understanding Risk. And before you start laughing, Toro means fatty tuna. Well, Toro is delicious. I want to also say many thanks to the Hyogo Prefecture. If you notice, Understanding Risk Hyogo Plus, you wonder what's the plus. It's not a typo. I know I made mistakes all the time, but it's not a typo. It is in appreciation for the help that the Hyogo Prefecture has given us, and we will have a lot of activities around the Hyogo Prefecture. All of them are booked. It's a big success. We are going to have some visits to Awaji, where the fault is, Kobe, and other cities. In 2025, the Hyogo Prefecture will start celebrating, as you heard before by the representative of Hyogo, the 30th anniversary of the earthquake in Kobe. And this, we're grateful for having this event here in the Hyogo Prefecture as a prelude of all the commemorations for that event. But I would like to thank the partners, the presenters, and especially you that reached Himeji after several hours. Without you, this event will not happen. You are the community. You make this happen. Thank you. Gracias. Merci beaucoup. Dankeschön. Arigatou gozaimasu. We have around 135 countries represented in Himeji. All of you are coming from a variety of corners of the world. Maybe we can see the four corners. I think there's anybody from New Zealand? Yes, New Zealand. Argentina. We have people from Argentina. Yes, we have people from Argentina. How about the Pacific Islands? Ah, that's my people. Very good. Thank you. How about Caribbean? Yeah, we're rocking. Anybody from Africa? Yeah, come on, energy. Do we have anybody from Japan? Ah, very good. Are you jet lagged? No, I don't think so. I don't think so, because I was running early in the morning today, and I look at, I was nearby the castle running, and somebody was crossing the street on red, and I said, these guys are not from here. I met my friends that I met in Washington, D.C. in the first Understanding Risk, and also I met people that I met in Florianopolis, the recent event. But I'm excited to meet all of you, hopefully, more than 1,000 people here, and make friends. But also I'm excited for you to make connections with each other. As you know, Understanding Risk is not the regular event. We don't like ties. You can wear them. Sometimes we go off a script. Sorry, production, my fault. But Understanding Risk is recognized for having fun. It's recognized for learning with a smile very difficult topics. And also, we are openly receiving new connections to learn more from all the parts of the world. So, I know you're not jet lagged. Are you having fun? Well, let's have some fun. Please, stand up. So, we're going to do two things at the count of 3. And please, at the count of 3, 2 things, very complicated. 1, look around you, and if you have a person that you know, you just give a high five. Okay? Just a high five. At the count of 3, my friends. Oh, my. Okay. If you don't know, you just shake hands. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing that you're going to do is that depending where are you coming from, remember the time zone that you are, you will say, good morning. The other person can say, good afternoon. Or someone is going to say, good night. Let's see how many matches. At the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Good morning. Good afternoon. Excellent. A lot of high fives, a little bit of shaking hands, so I can see. That's it, that's it. Okay, you can sit down. You will have time to talk and introduce yourselves. That's very nice, that's very nice. And as you saw, this week we are going to have a lot of learning. You saw this week we are going to teach you Japanese. By now, we taught you 2 words. I'm not going to repeat them. Yeah, I will repeat. Toro and kami. And we have these 3 words that are very important for what we do. So I will try to teach Japanese to you. So the first word is tradition, and it's pronounced dento. Can you repeat with me? Dento. Okay, as we saw, tradition in this city, in this prefecture, and this country is embedded in their souls. We can see from the castle, the traditions that we had here for the painting of these beautiful letters. So, and also the food. Please enjoy the food. The second word is innovation. And innovation, we say kakusain. Kakusain. Kakushin. Kakushin. Yeah, I know. I know. It's my second native language. Come on, give me a break. But as we saw today for Mr. Bang, innovation is not just technology, it's how we use what we have and using it in a new ways. And we are going to see a lot of this week. But we are also going to see a lot of technology. And the last word, resilience, is Kyojin-sei. Now you, Kyojin-sei. Excellent. Now you know 5 words. And resilience, Kyojin-sei, is what we're going to talk about the whole week. So my objective of this week is for you to go fluent in Japanese. But the idea also of understanding risk is to create connections, and sometimes very randomly. Yesterday I met the mayor in the corridor, and one thing we have in common is Che Guevara. Don't ask me why now. Maybe in the corridor I can explain to you. But as I said, understanding risk is very different, no? And instead of asking you to put down your phones, I will ask you to take their phones out, take pictures, exchange WhatsApps with your friends with these connections. Don't create another WhatsApp group, please. But use the event app where you can find more than the 1,000 people that are here and connecting. We have a lot of people, a lot of knowledge, and we thrive on these connections, and sometimes very, very random connections. Why a tech company with a community or a satellite imagery with an NGO? It's beautiful to see these connections that we have here in understanding risk. So, the moment that we were waiting for, and I need your help to ignite this stage. Ignites. Thank you for your help. We did it. We did it. So what are the ignites? Ignites are a tradition in understanding risk. We try to compress everything that we're going to see in a week in a very, very few minutes. These ignites are even hyper-ignites. Before we used to have 5 minutes presentations, now we're having 3 minutes presentations. The presenters, the volunteers, are brave volunteers, I will say, that are going to present you some of the things they are going to do this week. 3-minute presentation, 12 slides that run automatically. They don't have control of what's happening in the back. So let's wish them luck, and let's start with the first ignite. our first igniter, Emiliano Rodriguez.
Last week, I was watering the plants in the forest near the river. It's a beautiful sunset, it's a holiday, and I'm daydreaming. All of a sudden, I feel something wrong in front of me, and I walk back, jump, and I see a snake. It's a big snake. It's a beautiful snake if you see it from a distance. And then I kept thinking, how complex are the mechanisms that we have to respond to risk? If you think about it, it's first a feeling, then the action, and after that, the explanation of what's going on. Psychology calls that fast thinking and slow thinking. The system one is operating fast all the time and is telling you, with a shorter path in the brain, move, danger. And then the other one is slower, and it tells you, oh, this is a snake. That goes through a longer path in the brain, through the cortex. And they are really great to help us survive. They go fast, and they also have powerful things to do, like System 2 can take us to the moon. But they also make mistakes. Sometimes we see patterns when there are no patterns. For example, System 1 is telling me, I'm seeing snakes all the time since that day. But we also underestimate certain risks, the risks that we don't see, like heat, or infrequent risks, like earthquakes, or risks that we never experienced before, like climate change. They just don't see it, they make mistakes. And this is why risk communications is so important and relevant today, because they can help us anticipate those errors that our human mind makes. And they can also help us understand why different people perceive risk differently, in line with our emotions, in line with our values, with our previous experiences, with our culture. And after working for many years with the World Bank doing risk communications projects in different countries, I also learned that risk communications is great at connecting different actors that work in disaster risk management. Some of these actors, they have different expertise. Think of the media, governments, communities, the experts. But risk communication is a great connector and can help them communicate and trigger meaningful conversations for them to exchange their different visions of risk. So today I have two invitations for you. The first one is a focus session that we will host on Friday, and it's called Breaking Barriers in Risk Communications. We will share examples from all around the world, and we will play a game based on a real scenario, and we will tackle risk by invisible volcanoes. That's happening on Friday, 9 a.m., and I'm co-hosting it with Lisa Robinson from the BBC Media Action. And then there's another one, another focus session that we will do on Thursday, that it's about artificial intelligence applied to risk communications. We built a prototype, we want to test it with you. It's an assistant that knows a lot about risk and that can help us and can assist us when we respond to emergencies. We want to show you the process, the limitations, the magic, and the potential. So I hope to see you in both activities. There will be entertainment and innovation. We may bring a couple of snakes to do the experiments. Thank you for your attention and enjoy understanding risk. Thank you.
Next igniter, Soraya Ridanovic.
Thank you very much. How are you all today? It's quite warm out there, isn't it? Well, what if I told you that this could be the coldest summer of your life? Is that fine? I don't think it's fine. Well, what if your decisions today could save a community tomorrow? Every year, more and more, we see lives upturned, homes, businesses lost, and hopes dashed by disasters. But what if your decision could change this? And what if there could be a more positive outcome? Consider this. 40% of Europe's critical infrastructure lies in areas of high wildfire risk. The cost is staggering. 2023 alone was the hottest year on record, and disasters across Europe costed more than 77 billion euros. That's more than the entire GDP of Croatia or Slovenia, with impacts bound to intensify. But there is hope. There's hope to take timely actions and manage your disaster risk. So where do we start? We can take risk data and analytics to prioritize better. So what does this mean? This means managing more targeted investments, better public finances, and maximize the benefits for your communities. What else? We can also better understand financial impacts for future risks. So let's go back to where I started. Your decisions today can save a community tomorrow. This is no longer a question, but an affirmation of what you can do as decision makers, as practitioners, and as community members. So come join us on Wednesday at 3:15 in the main studio, where we'll learn how to scale up climate and disaster resilience and become active participants in resilience. In the session, we will hear from Romania on how to take risk-informed decisions in scaling up and strengthening critical infrastructure. We will also hear from Sendai City on how to take action and engage citizens in becoming a climate and resilient city. We will also hear from the European Commission on efforts and actions to enhance and boost EU resilience through the Union Civil Protection Mechanism, as well as the ambitious disaster resilience goals. And lastly, we will hear about the latest research from the World Bank and European Commission, which includes new costing of climate adaptation, which includes case studies, and also includes tools to help you make decisions better. So come join me on Wednesday, where we will help you in making and scaling up your climate and disaster resilience. Because in these gloomy forecasts and in the daily news of death, destruction, resilience ignites hope. Inaction invites disaster. So let's make smart and informed decisions together. Thank you very much.
Next igniter. Claude Jonker.
Imagine you're 14 years old, your family lives in extreme poverty, and you live near a war zone. When suddenly, sirens break out. You don't know what to do. You need to seek shelter, but you don't know where to go. Nobody knows where to go. By 2030, 2/3 of the people living in extreme poverty will also be living in a country affected by conflict, fragility, and violence. Of the top 20 countries most vulnerable to climate change and other disasters, 14 are also affected by conflict and fragility. These statistics are not isolated. These are just some of the examples of what happened over the last 2 years around the world. Different conflicts, different disasters, different countries. What we know is that there's a magnifying effect and an amplifying relationship between fragility, conflict, and violence, and disasters. Fragility, conflict, and violence hinder the capacity of countries to reduce, prevent, prepare for, and respond to disasters. Disasters, and the way they are managed, can exacerbate fragility and conflict. At GFDR, we believe it is possible to support conditions for disaster risk reduction, de-escalation of conflict, and addressing the underlying roots of fragility and violence. We work on mainstreaming DRM in FCV settings. We create tools and activities for DRM that are FCV sensitive, and we push the knowledge agenda on these issues. We do that by focusing on what we don't know. Have you ever wondered if there's a quantifiable difference in disaster impacts in conflicts versus non-conflict settings? We've researched that question. We've also looked into the impact channels behind these differences. And we've looked into the recovery of households. Do households recover better in non-conflict areas than conflict areas? To find out more, you can join us at our sessions. But let's go back to our little girl. Her village was hit by a devastating flood. They lost everything. Had she been living in an area not affected by conflict, it would take her 5 years to get back the life that she used to have before. But it will take her 20 years, And this is just one of our findings. To learn more, you can come tomorrow to our technical session at 11:30 in the Medium Hall. You can come to our Focus Day on Thursday, room 408. You can learn more online at our online course. And of course, you can find us at the GFDR booth in the exhibition hall. Thank you.
Our next igniter Asuka Takayama.
Konbanwa. As you are aware, the disasters are unpredictable. Let me introduce how we can minimize the damage through Mapbox modern technology. At Mapbox, the location is the core of everything we do. Decision makers utilize location information and special knowledges for various decision-making processes. At Mapbox, empower the 45,000 apps, 700 million MAU for 4 million developers. But we do not start here. When Mapbox started in Afghanistan, Cambodia, and Haiti, and United States, we found how the data and maps are important for bringing the lights on the hazard. And Mapbox today is still committed for the social and environmental responsibility. So stay tuned for disasters preparedness examples. So the Mapbox is actually used for interactive web maps, can amplify for sharing the crucial information. And this, like an evacuation area map, even you are unfamiliar area, you can find the evacuation center from 10 to 30 minutes. And this coming 3D tsunami maps, this one is aiming for preparing for evacuation plan. And this one is actually used for housing choices for developers area too. The Japan EQ locator, as mentioned, the maps for sharing the information. This display more than 600,000 earthquakes since 2000. Real-time Earth tracker. You can see where is the location and magnitude of the earthquake in the real time through this map. Even after disaster, you can find nearby shops. You can get daily products through this map. So think about how you can use this technology for your committee or your organization. Take an action, and please come to join our session, room 407, on 19th of June from 12:30, and visit our booth at S9. Thank you very much. ありがとうございました。
Next igniter, Brendan Youngman.
The other day, as I was riding my bike through the urban jungle in Panama City where we live, my 2-year-old daughter asked me, "Daddy, isn't it scary in the forest with all these jaguars and those big green snakes?" And I said, "Those jaguars aren't so scary. You should try to do an Ignite at UR. That's pretty scary." What's really scary sometimes is looking at these maps and seeing the world change. Infrastructure, unplanned urbanization is quickly taking over natural ecosystems and existing green space. And this is leading to a range of climate resilience issues, from urban heat island effect, where more communities are suffering from increasing floods and landslides. So the question is, can nature-based solutions, like you see here in a project in Mozambique, be an answer to addressing both resilience, biodiversity, and community well-being? Or are these solutions too complex, and can we not scale them up? Now, Japan actually has a very rich history of nature-based solutions. In traditional temple infrastructure, there were rain gardens implemented. You can see them here. River restoration and the use of rice paddies for flood control are effective ways here in Japan to combine history and climate resilience. And beyond Japan, the World Bank and GFDR have been supporting nature-based solutions, from coral reefs and mangroves to provide protection against flooding, urban parks that fight flooding and urban heat, and also the protection of infrastructure in mountainous areas. The number of projects doing this is quickly going up, and GFDR has been a real driving force behind this, providing the innovation, technical assistance, and grant financing needed to take this from an idea to actual reality. And just one example is in Sierra Leone, where we helped the government in their Freetown the Tree Town campaign after a large landslide, planting over 1 million trees by now and creating 1,000 jobs for community members to plant trees and monitor and water these trees. Yet, NBS are not easy. Like any type of infrastructure, we need to design them, we need to model them, we need to find that combination of green and gray infrastructure that addresses climate resilience and bring these other benefits. On the financing side as well, there are opportunities to nature-based solutions. Often they're cheaper than gray infrastructure. There are new markets like carbon financing, biodiversity finance. There's also challenges, operations and maintenance, the duration of projects that we need. And we'll be talking about these things this week. So we invite you really to join us. We invite you to get your hands dirty on a real NBS here in the booth. We have sessions on the operations, the operations of NBS, the identification and the modeling. Our team has actually mapped Himeji city here to look at current green space in this beautiful city, and also look at opportunities where new nature-based solutions could be implemented. And we need you to go with us in the street, help us validate these models, and see what works and what doesn't work. So here are two of the sessions that we have. Technical session, a focus day. We also have a plenary session on the financing side on Wednesday. So don't be afraid of the jungle and join us. Thank you.
Woo! That was fun, no? No? Was it not fun? Cannot see you. Okay. Well, breathing, that was intense, no? A moment of learning. So, the sixth word today. Today you can go out in the market and start speaking Japanese almost, no? Ikigai. Ikigai means, what is the reason behind I get up every day? It's not the alarm. What drives me every day to get up and do something? I think here we have a ton of people that have that very clear. Is to help somebody else in the worst moment of their lives. And to make that moment less painful if we can. So, let's move a little bit more. Get up, stand up, wake up. Somebody told me that it's jet lag, so we're moving on that. Okay, now that you know everybody, you have your best friend, so you're going to high five. And here's the trick. You are going to tell each other the number of hours that took you to arrive to Himeji from the city that you have left, not from the hotel, okay? At the count of 3, you will say a number, the other person will tell you a number, and then see who wins, okay? High five first, and then the number, okay? 1, 2, 3. Wow. I hear 40 hours? 30 hours. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. You can sit down. Who said 40? 40 hours? You miss your bus. Okay, let's come back to the ignites. The last 5 igniters. And the next igniter is Laura Bergen.
Konnichiwa, hello. Good morning, Lombazu. Wakey, wakey, rise and shine. Today is Wednesday, the 17th of June in 2054. And now it's time for the weather forecast. So it's going to be another really hot one out there again, I'm afraid, people. The third week where we'll be seeing plus 40. Do you remember when you used to be able to sleep at night? I miss those days. And moving on to the rain, I'm afraid, as Storm Swifty moves in at lunchtime, we're going to be seeing some very heavy rainfall this afternoon and some very strong gales. So please keep an eye out for the storm arriving. In fact, Lombazu Met Service has issued a flood alert for tomorrow, especially in Magulu district. We know that in Magulu town, our capital, the sanitation and drainage is awful. So I'm afraid it's not going to be pretty tomorrow. So please be prepared. Sign up for warnings from Lombazu Met Service. Protect your property and prepare your grab bag. And look after vulnerable people, such as your elderly neighbors and those with small children. Now, moving on to the outlook for July and August, we're going to continue to see a high risk of tropical cyclones or typhoons. And these will be much more intense than they used to be a few decades ago. Rainfall will also remain very variable, so please be aware if you're a farmer. And because of this climate emergency, our mayor, Mayor Nairi, has arranged a climate emergency meeting in the town hall tomorrow, room 409 at 3:15. We'll be talking about what the people of Lombazu and the global community should have been doing to make the country more resilient. What should we have been doing in the 2020s? Should climate finance initiatives have been using climate projections? How could disaster risk financing, climate projections, local, traditional, and other forms of knowledge have been combined to best assist Lombazu? So please come along to meet our amazing panel of women. We have Temily Baker from UNESCAP, Lisa Lang from the World Bank, and Rachel Allen from the World Food Programme. We'll also be joined by Mayor Nairi, also known as Nairi Pinder from the UK Met Office, and myself, who'll be providing some expertise on climate information and climate services. So please come along to the town hall meeting tomorrow. Come rain or shine, we'll be there to discuss futuristic, using climate projections to inform action now. Thank you.
Next igniter. Sakiko Kambara.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sakiko Kambara from World Society of Disaster Nursing and Kobe City College of Nursing. Today, I'd like to talk and discuss with you about what transdisciplinary approach. Yes, and why transdisciplinary approach. At the time of Hanshin Awaji earthquake, I was a student, and I would like just study well and work well in Kobe and community. And I want to become nurse practitioner and researcher. care and treatment, integration, and science technology as art and science. And I work with global community nursing and go to affected area. Then they need a map because we cannot understand who they are, where they are. So we need the map at the time and need food, work in local nurse collaboration. Then, in my hometown, Mabi, disaster occurred. At the time, I was there because I was on maternity leave. And I have to work with family and people who I met ever. And make the map, not for community, but with community from survivor side. So now we would like to discuss much more what is transdisciplinarity approach, TDA. This approach, I would like to talk about community empowerment more and the gender-based approach and many what transdisciplinary approach. And this is my Nepali student develop metaverse for they want to speak up basic human needs and not as and so for example protect from bad guy. So I want to say what transdisciplinary approach. Also disaster nursing already naturally transdisciplinary approach I thought. Please come to our session. I also join intersectional action research, cross-sector approach, beyond cross-sector approach, and also to breaking the silo. So please, I'm looking forward to meet again in this week. I want to discuss with you about transdisciplinary approach. Thank you.
Next igniter. Shubaru Ghosh.
Konnichiwa. Welcome to the introduction of our session, Symphony of Traditions and Innovation. Today's society are complex ecosystems that can be disrupted by sudden or even long-term effects of climate change. Renowned author Amitav Ghosh, who by the way is not related to me, he argues that when it comes to natural disasters, humans have a very narrow view of space and time. Communities over generations have passed down traditions and innovation to build resilient societies. We have got tremendous technologies such as satellite Earth observation, as well as artificial intelligence that are being used to create societies that are futuristic and resilient. Communities in different parts of the world approach response in different ways. So in our session, we are going to talk about the past, where we stand now in terms of our understanding of risk, and what does the future look like? We have a prolific lineup of panelists brought together from different parts of the world and who have a burning desire to connect traditions and innovation and assimilate the language of risk. I would like to think our session is like jazz music. In jazz music, performers like John Coltrane, Charlie Parker, each introduced new ways and techniques to address and use the same age-old instrument. That is the cornerstone of jazz. And very similarly, our session will look at new innovations, such as, can artificial intelligence really predict the impacts of disaster better than the traditional models? I would like to imagine we are better off today for technologies like digital twins. But what are some of the applications of digital twins in disaster? A very key important part of communities is recovery. So we are going to look at some of the innovational values and challenges as communities in different parts of the world try to recover from disaster. And the final theme that we are going to talk about is look at this burning question of wildfire risk that has been going on for the last several years. Can technologies like Earth observation satellites and modeling really help create futuristic societies that can address this risk? So all in all, we have brought together some terrific speakers who are going to talk about the very key impacts of technology on our societies. Famous author Jared Diamond talks about how societies either fail or succeed. So we are going to ask the key question: can some of these technologies that we have available be used effectively by societies to make decisions? Come join us tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. at the Medium Hall. We are going to string together the various traditions and innovation and immerse ourselves, like the music of jazz, in this symphony of tradition and innovation. Thank you.
Next igniter, Olivia Jensen.
Trust. I'd like to invite you to come tomorrow morning to think through with us the relationship between trust and disasters. So when you trust someone, you're comfortable, you're willing to let them take decisions about your safety. But the thing is, trust is hard to earn and easy to lose. Maybe not from this guy. I think you just give him something good to eat and he'll trust you. But between humans, it is. We have to work hard to be trustworthy. Trust matters, particularly when time is short. It matters because it reduces transaction costs, it speeds up decision-making. It lowers anxiety, so the harm done by the disaster is lower. But it takes a lot to be trustworthy. You have to be competent, able. You have to be able to look after somebody well. You have to be benevolent. You need to have their interests at heart. And you have to have integrity, taking decisions on the basis of principle and not expediency. So tomorrow we're going to look at these issues specifically in relation to floods and in Japan. And we're going to hear about some breaking research about public attitudes to floods. We're going to think through how experts can play a role as bridges. And also, we're going to hear from Nagano Prefecture about their experience in building and rebuilding trust. But you know, it's kind of easy to stand on the sidelines and think, decision makers do a bad job. If it was me taking the decisions, I'd be fine. So tomorrow, you will take the decisions. Did you read these books when you were a kid? These are choose your own adventure. And when you came to the end of a little section, there was a question. Do you fight with the giant spider, or do you run into the dark forest and hide? And you chose what to do. And tomorrow we'll do the same. You will be the mayor of a city in Japan. It will be the rainy season, June, July. And there'll be a storm brewing. You'll need to decide how much information to give to people. But things may develop faster than you'd hoped. Maybe you receive information that the dikes may breach, and then you'll have to keep the media and other stakeholders on your side. And then, when all is over, when the storm is past, how will your community perceive you? What will have happened to your reputation? And will they be willing to follow you again next time you ask them to evacuate? Floods leave a long legacy, but they can also be very easily forgotten. What decision makers need is to evaluate that policy, and we need to think about how to make sure that process of learning happens. I've got 3 minutes. I can't earn your trust in those 3 minutes, so I'll just borrow some words from Ernest Hemingway. The best way to find out if you can trust somebody is to trust them. So I invite you to come along tomorrow morning at 9:30, room 408, to join us to have a go at taking decisions and choosing your own adventure. If you like that, come join us again on Friday. We've got another session, a longer one, on risk know-how, and would really love to have you there for that too. Thank you very much.
our last igniter. Benedict Signer.
Thank you. You heard that it will be sunny tomorrow, so I decided to plan a trip to the pool. We're meeting Wednesday, 12:30 in room 408. As you can see, I was very excited and already got dressed up for it. We're still working on our spelling, though. Of course, there are many different types of pools, and people use pools in many different ways. Some to improve their health, others just to improve their tan. Some are Olympic swimmers, some just dip their toes in the water and have a drink on the side. So to borrow some words from our friends in Thailand, we could say, pools are same but different. And at least one button here has a T too many for this audience. But why am I talking about pools? Let's take a quick detour to a different type of pooling, insurance. Sometimes accidents happen, no matter how well we prepare. When we do slip and fall, let's hope she had insurance, so she can get back up and running again quickly. Of course, the same should apply for disaster losses. Reality is, though, today most disaster losses are uninsured. Sure, you might say insurance is just too expensive or it doesn't really work. But in advanced economies, this protection gap is only about half that size. Why is it that we have the tools, but the most vulnerable are left to absorb the losses? So as resilience risk pools, we work to make insurance available, effective, affordable, and fair for our members. And we serve over 80 countries with 1.5 billion people. You might still think of us like this: small, cute, stable, offering one product to our members. In reality, we've come a long way. We're probably both larger and more complex than you realized. We're trying to make do with limited resources in a technically and politically complex field, in a highly regulated industry. Sometimes that needs a little duct tape. But more importantly, it needs a lot of partners to make it work. There's the regulators keeping us all safe. There's reinsurance to top up the water when we spill a little too much. And there's our technical partners and donors to make sure that our members have a great day in the sun. Together, we've come a long way already. Last year, we issued over 80 policies providing more than $1 billion in protection to our members. Definitely, some of us are much further along than others. Some are still learning how to walk. Many of you have been part of this journey. And over the next 4 days, we're looking for your products, your innovations, your ideas to continue this journey together with us. Come work with us to build a magic water park. Come join us on Wednesday to hear how far we've come already. Thursday afternoon to dive deeper into technical opportunities and some challenges. And Friday morning to co-create better ways of sharing risk information and risk data. When you come, please do bring your sunscreen and towels. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was amazing. That was great, no? Big applause for these volunteers. And some of them, English is not their first language, so another applause. That was amazing. You saw a little bit of what is happening this week. Very little. We have over 55 technical sessions. We will have 42 focus groups. We have around 50 exhibitors in the exhibit line. The ones that Shigaru-ban was mentioning, built by these materials, please don't use them as a changing room, okay? We have 6 plenaries. We have activities outside of Himeji, walks in the castle. You have received invitations for that as well, no? Are you pumped? Are you pumped? I'm not sure. I think we need help. I think we need help from somebody very important. We're bringing the army to enforce fun. Let me introduce you to Commander Kinechi Yonemura, Camp Himeji, Japan Self-Defense Force. Commander.
Hi, good evening. I am commander of Camp Himeji. Everyone, thank you for inviting me and Himeji Shirasagi Taiko, White Heron Taiko drum to the opening ceremony of the World Bank UA 2024. Camp Himeji has a history and a tradition of 127 years since 1897. For DRM, we are in charge of about 60% of Hyogo Prefecture. Our track record includes the Great Hanshin Awaji earthquake 29 years ago, typhoon, forest fires, and other activities. In the wake of the Noto Peninsula earthquake that occurred on January 1st this year, many members of our Camp Himeji were dispatched to assess the needs of the disaster victims and transported supplies. Now, the Himeji Shirasagi Taiko, White Heron Drums, is a traditional Japanese taiko drumming group that was founded in June 1990 by a group of like-minded members of us who wanted to preserve the traditional Japanese performing art of taiko. Himeji Shirasagi Taiko is characterized by the fact that it performs exclusively with taiko drums and pursues a disciplined and vibrant performance, just like the nature of the self-defense forces. In all of our performances, we have adopted a theme of resonate in the hearts of those who hear us, Shirasagi Taiko. Today, we will perform 3 pieces that we have been practicing with great enthusiasm for this day. The first song is Shiki Uchi, or 4 Seasons. This piece expresses the Japanese spring, summer, fall, and winter through the rhythms of taiko. Please enjoy the powerful harmony of Himeji Shirasagi Taiko featuring control and vigor. Please enjoy. Hi, good evening. We are Himeji Shirasagi Taiko. Earlier, you heard Shikiuchi, 4 seasons. The next piece you hear is Nagareuchi, a piece that expresses the flow of a river with the rhythm of taiko drums in Japan. Please listen. Thank you very much. It was Nagareuchi. The next piece is going to be the last of today's Shirasagi Taiko. Well, this is about the cold that has been waiting for the winter snow to melt and is now running around in the meadow, rejoicing in the coming of spring. Please listen to Shumba, Spring Horse.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope you're pumped. We are halfway through. No. Now, I heard that in order to go past jet lag, you have to have fun and have some drinks. So, the worst and the most difficult part was bringing all of you here to Himeji. That's done, check. But we have one more task for you, and it's very, very hard. We want you to help us to finish all the drinks and food that is in the back. And for that, please follow the light. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.